Hello, everybody. This is DNI 360's first podcast featuring the professional black women at DFAS Japan. And today we have Kelli Beale, Lanetz and Deatta Harris from Japan, um, asking them some questions about their career, about their experience with DFAS. But before I get started, I want to acknowledge Danae Brown, DNI 360 president, that's on the line also with us, as well as Brent Lang, who is one of our in charge of our ally department, and I am Michelle Terry. I'm just a helper, assistant.
Okay.
With
DNI 360. Old servant.
Okay. The lowly old servant here to help and fill in wherever I can. But before we get started, I really wanted to get a quick bio from the ladies just to understand what they do in Japan and who they are. So I want to start with Kelli Beale. Could you give us a little bit of information about yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Kelli Beale, and I've been
with
DFAS I've been with DFAS for 13 years now, and I just recently transitioned to DFAS-Japan in January, beginning of February, and I am the staff accountant for the Air Force director.
Very cool. Welcome, Kelli.
Thank you.
And Lanetz, how about you?
Hey, this is Lanetz. I have been to DFAS for 13 years as well. It's funny, Kelli and I actually started on the same day together. I have been at DFAS. Yeah, isn't that cool? That's my homie. I've been at DFAS Japan for almost 3 years now. I'm currently the executive assistant for the deputy site director. In a few weeks, I will be transitioning to a new role as the Air Force accounting director.
Hey!
Wow. Congratulations.
Hey. Awesome. Thank you.
And Deatta Harris, how about you?
Hello. I have been with DFAS for 16 years, and I've been at DFAS Japan since August of 2018, and I'm currently the Navy accounting director. And I'm responsible for all of the Navy activity within the Pacific region.
Oh,
that's me.
Awesome. That is really wonderful to hear. So we kind of wanted to start off asking some questions directly to all of you. And the first question we wanted to ask: what was your biggest setback, and what did you learn from it? Jump in.
We got to call on people.
This is Lanetz. I'll go ahead and start off. So, like I mentioned in my bio, 13 years ago, I started at DFAS straight into the LIM program from graduation. Once I graduated from the program, I was permanently placed in an area that I knew did not align with my career goals. I wanted to do something that was in accounting, but I didn't have the 24 hours of accounting. So that being said, I made the most out of my time in the position that I was in, and I took advantage of the area not having a critical path or endless OT hours. So I used my time in the evenings to go back to school to get my master's degree, and I also self-studied and passed the CMA exams. At that time, I began applying for accounting positions at the higher grade, but of course I kept getting denied. Regardless of having the accounting certification and the 24 hours of accounting, they were telling me that I wasn't qualified because I didn't have that specialized experience. My next move was to apply for a lateral position. I was picked up for a lateral position in departmental, and a little bit after a year, I was offered a promotion. So the two lessons that I took from this experience are, number one, look for the positive in every uncomfortable and unfavorable situation. And number two, sometimes you have to move over in order to move up. The position that I disliked, it wasn't a step back, but it was more of a stepping stone. It allowed me to accomplish many goals that I may not have had time to do if I were in another area.
Wow. Wow, that's
Very
interesting.
cool.
Now, did you start out at what site did you start at?
DFAS Indianapolis.
Okay, all right.
Very
Anybody
cool.
else want to chime in with something on that?
This is Kelli, and I believe my greatest setback was becoming comfortable in the area that I was in before I came to DFAS-Japan. I had been in a department for 8 or 9 years before I decided to make the move. I knew that I shouldn't have been there that long because they say, you know, especially at DFAS, there's so many opportunities to be in an area between 2 or 3 years just to get different experience. But I became comfortable where I was at, and I felt like it held me back from growing and getting the knowledge of other areas in DFAS. And when I actually moved, it taught me that, you know, I was kind of scared to move because I had been comfortable. I knew the work. I knew the people. So I was scared, and it taught me not to be scared and to just take that leap of faith and go for it, because you'll benefit from it in the long run. Even if it's a bad situation, you learn from all bad situations, I feel like. So just being able to take that leap of faith and move was what I learned from it.
That's really interesting.
Very cool. A lot of people are too afraid to jump, but that's really the only way that we really learn, stretch ourselves. Thank you, Kelli.
Deatta, did you have anything to add to that?
And I guess this is Deatta. So the question, the biggest setback, I guess my perspective is similar to Lanetz in that I don't see, I guess the way that I frame things, I don't see anything as a setback. Some things weren't for me. There were several promotions that I did not receive, and that could have been considered a setback, but I didn't, because what came after it for me was better, because that wasn't suited for me. So just because I felt like, or I knew the fact that I was more qualified, similar to what Lanetz said, me not getting that wasn't a setback. It was a setup for something better that was more aligned with me and my professional and personal goals. So I think a lot of it is the frame of mind and thinking about, okay, this isn't a setback necessarily. This is, okay, where am I now and where am I going to move forward from here? Because, again, I think it's a setup, not a setback.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
That's a really good way to look at setup and not a setback.
Not a setback.
And I feel like I stole that from a preacher, but we're going to keep it moving.
It sounds like something straight from a pulpit. I'm not even going to lie. Yes, it does.
Hey, that's okay. Wherever you get it from, that's where you get it.
All right. How about let's keep on going with Deatta. This is where we bring in Brent.
All right. So the next question then, for everybody, am I right?
Sure.
Is what have you read or what have you listened to recently that you can share that has inspired you?
So I recently was listening, and I still am in the car. I don't get much alone time. But was listening to Black Girls Rock, Owning Our Magic, Rocking Our Truth by Beverly Bond. And this has been a really good listen for me. I listened to it with my kids in the car. But just to hear the stories and to hear so many positive affirmations has really helped me to feel more confident. And to even hearing about other people has made me want to seek them out and to learn more about their careers, people that I wasn't familiar with. So that has just been, being here in Japan, while there is an African-American presence on base, it's very different because most of the people around us are Japanese. So it did help me to feel connected. And so that's something that if you haven't listened to it or if you haven't read it, I found that it is, and it is, again, it's child friendly for the most part.
Can you say the title again?
Black Girls Rock, Owning Our Magic, Rocking Our Truth by Beverly Bonds.
Didn't they have something on BET at one point in time with Black girls?
Yes, I think it's affiliated, I think, with the show, and a lot of it, why I think I like listening to it is a lot of it is the actual people are reading their portions or a piece of their story. So, example, I grew up dancing, and Misty Copeland is somebody that I really admire, and so she sort of reads her portion of the book, and so it's really good to hear different people's voices and to hear that. And again, for me, I've got 4 kids, and they're very important to me, and I want to make sure that they feel comfortable with who they are, and so this has been a very good thing for us to listen to as a family.
That sounds awesome.
All right, Brent, you want to ask Kelli some questions?
Can I chime in on a book? I'm sorry, I was in my zone just thinking. So a book that my best friend read, she was so excited about it, and she actually mailed me a copy that has really been just impactful to my life is You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Living an Awesome Life. That book is so amazing. It's so amazing. It just opened up my eyes to a lot of things. Like, you just don't realize it, but a lot of times we unconsciously self-sabotage ourselves and hold our own selves back from seeing our fullest potential. So I think that this book, for me, it has really helped me to identify those areas of my life, and it's helped me to get out of my own way because I'm stubborn. I admit it, I'm stubborn. And this book has just been so powerful for me. So I would definitely recommend that to anybody.
I so agree. Can you repeat the title again?
You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life.
I have like a very firm philosophy that every single person has at least one superpower, and until they really figure out how to use it, they're kind of like that baby in Incredibles. When I don't know if you guys saw the last one where he figured out that he can do all these weird things, and he was tearing stuff up all around the house. But then, like, as the time went on, he figured out how to utilize it more. I feel like we all are that baby until we figure out how. Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
You cut out for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Where'd I cut out at?
It was after you were talking about Jack.
Oh, you guys know. Yeah. It's just a matter of getting familiar with what actual superpowers are and learning how to use them in the right way. And once you figure that out, I truly believe that every single person on this planet can do something better than every other person on this planet. It's just a matter of finding that thing. So I'm here for that book, 100%.
It sounds like a good book. I like the title.
I know. That's what made me look at it. I want to know if Kelli has anything.
No, I haven't read anything inspirational lately. I've been busy.
Great,
I would say that's what happens when you have a new
recommendation. I wasn't going to say anything, but Kelli's mommy to Jasmine. And when will Jasmine be 6 weeks?
She'll be 6 weeks in 2 weeks. She just turned 4 weeks.
Oh
wow.
Baby.
You got a fresh out baby. Wow.
She said fresh out baby.
Fresh out. Fresh out.
I have never heard that. I love it. It makes sense, though. She was cooking.
If you've had kids before, you know that a couple of weeks right after is hard. A hard couple of weeks.
It is. so hard. That's actually, and this, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I can speak to it, and I know Michelle can. But just as a Black woman in our communities, we're kind of socialized to be the everything to everyone all the time. So when you're a working mother, that just, wow, it turns into a whole nother thing. And then, they make you feel like you have to choose. Either you're going to be a career woman or you're going to be a mom. Like, you can't be both. And you always feel this guilt, and there's always this balance. And we don't talk about it enough, about how hard it is and how sometimes motherhood just isn't fun. And there's so much pressure, when you have the baby and your body's going through all these weird things and you're tired and the baby knows exactly when you've fallen asleep and, all those things that happen all at once. And, we only tend to talk about the good stuff that, oh, look at how she's so pretty and all that. But, how often do we really ask each other, are you okay? Like, are you really okay? And I think if, we should talk about that more. Michelle?
I agree. I think the one thing that we don't say enough about is like the sleep deprivation. You got this tiny, small, infant, and you love them to death, but are you getting enough rest? And then you got to get up and go to work and deal with all of that. It does take a toll. It does take a toll. And even having a small one in this environment with all that's going on, I would be totally like stressed out. Like, how do you keep the baby safe and under all these conditions and things?
In addition to, is the baby getting enough milk? Am I expressing enough? All those things that nobody talks about. Nobody told me that my boobs were going to feel like freaking rocks on my chest and I could barely move after the milk. I was really mad at all these women in my family. Like, all y'all had kids. All y'all. Nobody felt that I needed to know that one little piece of information.
They don't say anything.
They don't say anything. So I be trying to make it my mission to say to new mothers especially, like, you ain't crazy. It sucks, okay? The baby is the best part, the only good thing about it sometimes. That's about it. So, and Deatta, you have 4.
Yeah, and I wanted to share something. I went through the 360 coaching through DFAS, and if you ever have the opportunity, I would definitely suggest doing that. But when I talk to my coach, one of the things that most concerns me is what you said earlier, my work-life balance. My kids are all between the ages. My youngest had a birthday yesterday, so between 5 and 11. So I've got 4 kids relatively close together in age, and it is a lot. Trying to figure out the pressures between both worlds. And so the key piece of advice that she gave me was, you can't do everything for everybody. You need to set goals. She said, in your professional life, you set goals and say, okay, here's what I want to do. These are the things I'm going to do. As a mother, you also need to set goals. What type of mother do you want to be? What is it important for you to do? And since that conversation, I've sort of set goals. I want to make sure that we have family dinners X amount of times a week, and I want to make sure that we're going to read a book together and those types of things. So that way you can gauge whether or not you are sort of focusing on whatever your concept of being a good mother is, you are doing that and not letting other people set expectations of what a good mother is. You decide that, you set the goals, and then work towards that. Don't let other people set that for you. And that has really been eye-opening for me and has really given me has removed a lot of pressure to do a lot of things that maybe weren't necessarily important to me, but I thought that's something that a good mother does, and has given me more freedom to enjoy my kids and to also enjoy work. So I wanted to share that because that was really eye-opening for me.
That definitely would have helped me, for sure. Love it. Especially
with this virtual learning and everybody's at home all the time and teleworking. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. There is no such thing as multitasking unless you say walking and chewing gum is multitasking, but you're not really thinking about either one. The best that you can ever hope for is the ability to swiftly, move from one activity to the other. We can't effectively multitask. And I think we need to be more realistic about that. You can't do 3 things at once. Just not well.
Right.
You could put the bottle in the dog's, mouth and give the babies a bone, but you're doing things, but they're not right. So just taking that pressure, I love that idea.
I like the idea of don't let others tell you how to be a good mother. I really like that because, you get a whole lot of unwanted advice, how to take care of your kids.
And it's always about what you're doing wrong, not what you can do, what you're doing right or,
Right.
It's always something wrong. Don't all the babies have like that. You already know. Why are you giving that baby cereal in the, oh, good Lord, Jesus.
They'll be all right. Kids will be all right.
So I think it's important as a new mother, or even in general, I think it's important to have a good network of people who support you. And I think that is really critical. And even within your work life and your new mom or mom life, to have people who you can honestly talk to and who you can get feedback from. That's what's really important and can really help you or make you feel isolated. So reach out. Mm-hmm. People are willing to help you, but you have to reach out. Sometimes people don't know that you need help. But reaching out, most people are willing to help, but you have to let them know that you need something.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's one thing that I'm learning, and Deatta has been heaven sent because my husband and I, we don't know what we're doing. We have no clue. So she's been a great help in keeping me sane, and just knowing that, we're learning, Jasmine's learning, and it's a process. So I'm getting there. I haven't gotten to the work part yet. I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but we'll see.
Well, the thing about mommyhood is as soon as you think you got it, there's another ball they throw in for you to juggle. So you're always going to feel a little off kilter, and that's just the norm. Don't be so hard on yourself. That's a big takeaway too. Just don't be so hard on yourself. God made them adorable, small, and cute, but He also made them poor and tough. So we're not gonna break them. Thank goodness.
On to another question. Those were really good answers and really good insights. Do we want to move on?
Sure. Let's see. Brent, you want to keep on with Kelli?
Yes, ma'am. All right. So for you, Miss Beale, the question is, have you ever received help from an unexpected source or unexpected allies? And if so, did that surprise you, and how did it help?
So, yes, I have received help from an unexpected source. I had a supervisor who was he was a micromanager, and I felt like I could do nothing right in his eyes. When my progress reports and when my progress reports came, it was mostly negative, hardly any positive. So I was very down on myself when I was in that position. And one day he called me into his office and told me that somebody had called them looking for a EA, an executive assistant. And he told them that I would be great for the job. And it surprised me because I didn't think that he thought I was capable of doing anything good, anything right. So it surprised me that he had referenced me for the job. And I had been praying to get another position because I was so unhappy where I was at. So it was a great thing for me, and a surprise. Well, it was a great surprise. And so I learned that, even though people get on you or may get on you, they still see what you're doing good. and it turned out to be a positive situation for me in the end.
That's great.
Never know who's really watching.
Right.
And some people have weird ways of, what in their mind, motivation, right? So maybe, in his mind, being withholding, I guess, and pointing out the things needed to improve upon was his way of motivating you. Clearly.
In his weird way, yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, Brent.
Okay, so
right,
one more question.
I'll go ahead. I'll go to Lanetz. Yeah, I'll go to Lanetz. We'll rotate a little bit. No problem. I did call your name. Don't worry, y'all. I'm gonna edit this. So Lanetz, hey girl.
Hey girl.
So I kind of want to ask because Deatta mentioned earlier that there really isn't a large Black presence over in Japan. So I'm wondering, like, when, if ever, do you ever feel like most different, or you're like aware that people see you as different?
So I think that Kelli and Deatta can probably relate, but it would definitely be here in Japan. So, I mean, I stepped off of that plane and I immediately was aware that there aren't people here that look like me. It was real. Some places that I've traveled to within Japan and also Southeast Asia, it becomes realer. You'll get long stares. People will take pictures of you. Some people have jumped in my selfies, and others have even been bold enough to, like, rub my skin and touch my hair. And they don't do this out of disrespect. Like, it's not out of disrespect, but they look at you and they're in awe and they're in intrigue. It's like they want to know more. I've also had, like, people randomly just start talking to me just because they want to speak English to a Native American. And my coworkers, they ask a lot of questions about American culture and life in the United States. So from this stance, I just try to do my best to educate them on the differences between Japanese and American culture. Currently, our site is revamping its special emphasis program. So I think that along with DNI 360, are going to be instrumental in educating the workforce here. Is there anything that you guys wanted to add, Deatta and Kelli?
So I will add definitely the pictures. When we, excuse me, as a family, we took a trip and we had pictures. We started taking pictures of people taking pictures of us, especially my kids. To have 4 kids apparently is not a very common thing here. To be African American, they don't even know who you are or what you are, but everybody wants a picture. They're taking pictures with my kids. We had to have a talk with the kids and say, if you don't want to take a picture, you have to hold up your hands in X. That means no. And so people won't do it. And they'll be respectful, but they are very curious. They've never seen anybody like us. And legit, they are very interested. And what she said about touching your hair and skin, they are genuinely have never experienced that. So it's you can tell that the tone in which they are looking is very different than when people say it back in the States. It's not, it's one of awe and sort of mystery. And I had something else I was going to say, and now I lost it, so I'm going to stop talking.
Well, don't, because I want to follow up on that and ask you, like, if you can be a little bit more specific as to the differences of that type of, how you feel different in the States and how you feel different in Japan.
Because the people here, one, there's a language barrier, but they say kawaii a lot, which means cute. And this is more in reference to my children, not to myself. But they say kawaii, and you can tell, like, when I braid my girl's hair, and so that is very interesting to people. I've had little old ladies at the grocery, and they will walk with us, and they're looking, and then they, like, speak to me in Japanese, which I am not fluent in by any means. And so I sort of, let them know I don't speak Japanese, and then they say kawaii, and then they're sort of looking. I don't know how, and Lanetz and Kelli, I don't know if you all can explain it. I can just tell that it's a genuine, like, appreciation. It's not I guess maybe because a lot of these people, they have never seen a Black person before, not a Black American. And so they genuinely don't know. And it is, as opposed to in the States where most people, you might not interact with a lot of Black people, but you've seen them around. Here, people literally have never seen a Black person in real life in some of the places that we've gone. And they want to take pictures of my family, which hopefully, I don't know if they'll end up on the internet one day in some way or another. But people want to take pictures. Like, we had people offer to take pictures, and then other people are taking pictures of us. And I'm wondering, what are they telling, like, what do they say? But lots of people take pictures.
I saw a Black.
Right, like, and a lot of people don't even realize that we're American. They wonder where we're from. They have no concept.
Yeah.
They don't know that we're American.
It kind of sounds like, I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, it kind of sounds like that their curiosity is not like the hate we kind of get and disgust we get in America. Because sometimes, in America, and I've never been to Japan, but it just seems like, it's just not where they're turning their nose up or frowning at you or, scrutinizing you. They're more truly, like you said, just curious, like, where are you from? What's up with the braids, It sounds different.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And then, like, I've traveled to some other places outside of Japan, even in those countries where they have the darker skin, like India, Sri Lanka, and you still get those same type of stares, even though they have the brown skin. Because you're a little bit darker, they can tell, hey, you're not from here. Like, you're different. Where are you from? And like Deatta was saying, they don't know that you're from the United States. That's not an assumption to them. So they're just intrigued. They have this expression of curiosity. They want to know more. I've had people follow me around. Like, I had some extensions in my hair. I had people following me around, trying to figure out, hey, what's going on with their hair, and they may not have spoken English, but they would come up with a few words to kind of get a question out of, hey, where are you from? Are you from Africa or the United States or the Caribbean? So it's just more, they're excited, one, and then two, they're just in awe because they've never seen this in real life. It's always just been on TV, so it's some sort of fantasy to them, but have never been disrespected in any type of way. It's just amazing to me. It's amazing.
When I'm listening to what you guys are saying, it can be the same as, like, I'll just tell you, like, for example, I was working in school systems, and someone I've been working with for like maybe 6-8 months, it was like she had just finally had enough and said, I just got to see it. I got to see if it's soft. And came over and touched my hair. And it was similar to what you're saying, but I did not take it that way. And for the reasons that, like that Deatta said, but it's so similar. Like, where is that line?
It's very different. The people here are very timid and very respectful. So a lot of people, I can tell they want to ask or they want to say things, but they don't. And it's I don't know how to verbalize it, but I can tell even in physical demeanor, just the way that they hold themselves, how the tone they're coming in. It's difficult to explain, but I've had that too. I have a lot of hair. I've had lots of people want to touch my hair, and it's very, very different. And I think part of it too is everybody here, like, I would say like 90, I can't give out a percentage, but Japanese people and Chinese people, everybody looks the same. Literally everybody looks the same. So just to look different, especially because my hair is a little bit more curly when I wear it out, that curly hair, they're not even talking about the skin. They're just like, everybody here has straight hair. So to see curly hair or hair that is not straight is an anomaly. So it has nothing even to do with the skin, but just even the hair texture being not dark and straight is completely different. I cannot verbalize it, but I have had interactions both here and in the States, and they are completely different. Completely different.
So I think that going to your point, Deatta, it's a cultural difference. So when you look at Japan, like the Japanese people are very timid and reserved, so they won't approach you with certain things such as that unless they have a relationship established with you already. So I notice I get more questions from my Japanese friends because they've built that safe space and they know that they can ask me anything and I won't get offended. So they're comfortable asking me those type of questions rather than going to a stranger and asking them. But there are some other Asian cultures that are not that type of way. They're more straightforward and more direct. So they will just come up to you and touch your hair and start asking you a million questions. There's no barrier to the communication there. So I think it's just more of like a cultural difference that I've noticed within Asia.
Agree. When we've taken some trips, people are much more, and I hate to, I'll say forward because I don't want to say aggressive. They weren't aggressive, but more forward and coming up and saying things. Here, people are looking and like from afar, I can tell that they're staring or they're looking and, trying to figure out if they want to get up the courage to come and say something, even if it's just a kawaii, and then they keep walking really quickly. Very different depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
It's fascinating.
I mean, I tend to walk around thinking people are in awe of me all the time, so that's just me, though. I have theme music playing. I have wind blowing that maybe no one can see. It's the whole thing.
Can I follow up on that?
Sure.
For the ladies in Japan, is it a certain demographic? Like, is it Asian men, Asian women typically? Is it the younger generations that express the most interest?
I'll say we have never, so it's never been Asian men, I don't think, have ever, I've get some looks, but we've never had conversation. It's more women. And for me, I think it's been all ages. Little kids are little kids everywhere. They openly stare, mouth open, like, what's going on here? I've never seen somebody like you. But that's how kids are everywhere. But for me, it's been typically women in Japan. Now, in other countries that we've visited, it's been everybody, like, who are you? Where are you from? But here it's mostly women.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like in Japan, it's been mostly women for me. I would say, yeah, across the board from children to elderly. But in other countries, for me, I've experienced more men more than women, surprisingly. That's just been my experience.
That's because your light's on,
what
girl.
About you, Kelli? You're quiet, girl.
That's A.
And I haven't been here that long, but just the interactions that I've had with my coworkers, like my Japanese coworkers, in my opinion, like they're very helpful and they want to make sure that I was comfortable coming in and like if I had a question about, because they have vending machines that are in Japanese and I try to get out my Google Translate and they'll see me struggling and they'll try to help me figure out what I want. And so my experience in the short time that I've been here, because as soon as I got here, COVID-19 took over, so I haven't been able to really explore like the other ladies have, which hopefully will change here soon. But just in my experience with my coworkers, my Japanese coworkers, they've been very helpful to me.
So that's probably a really good segue to this next question. And it's for Deatta, but I would love to hear from everyone. So when we think about, because you guys are on Yokota, right? Yokota Air Base?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's like all bases. I don't know if everyone really has ever been on a military base, but it's basically like a little city. It's got, stores. And you could technically not leave the base and you can still survive and have everything that you need. So the question is, like, do you see the same marginalization on that community that's common here in the States?
No. And I think the reason is because we are so different than everybody outside the gates. Everybody, I feel like within the gates, of course, there's always people who don't get along, but for the most part, because you can literally physically see the difference between people. If you're Japanese, you physically look different than an American for the most part, except for, Asian Americans, of course. And I think that's the difference. Also, the language barrier, because once you go outside the gates, I don't understand. There's a lot of white noise because, I don't speak Japanese. So there's a lot going on that you can't understand, even verbally, or a lot of obviously the signs are in Japanese. So I think it's very different. I have seen people at the mall that's close to here, and I hear and they're speaking English, so we automatically say hello. If you recognize that, that somehow that somebody else is speaking English, we typically speak. My assumption, a lot of those people I then will see later on base. But there's a connection because we are so different from the country that we are in. So I have not seen the same sort of disparities or things like that I see in the States. It is not as pronounced here. And I think it is because, again, we are so different from our counterparts here. There's such a huge cultural difference in the way we act, the language difference, and then also the physical differences. So I think that helps unite us more here because it's us, because again, once you step outside the gates, you could be in a situation where there is no English and you got to figure it out. And hopefully your
become
Google
a
Translate
them.
works. Right. Definitely a them, a gaijin, a foreigner. We're all foreigners, so it doesn't matter where you're from. You're clearly not Japanese, so you are a foreigner, right? So I think that unites us more here than in the States, where it's just a very different climate. Lanetz or Kelli, do you have any thoughts on that? Not to put you on the spot, but
yes, I agree. Like the people here are so nice and helpful. I mean, I just had a baby, and I have people that I just met last month offering to buy stuff and help out with the baby, which, back at home, people are nice, but not if they don't know you, in my opinion. So if I don't have a relationship with you, I'm not going to reach out to you and make sure that you have everything you need. But here, they realize that we're from our families. We don't have that support system that we would have if we were back in the States. So they can kind of, relate to our situation. So I've had a positive experience with the people here on base.
Lanetz, anything for the group?
Nope, I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay.
Had to have it one time. Set you up for that one. I set you up.
I knew I was pushing it. I tried, though. I was pushing it. All right, Michelle, you're up.
Okay. As Black women, we often feel like we're perpetually swimming upstream. So how do you motivate yourself to continue? What stops you from quitting or wanting to quit?
So I'll go ahead and start. This is an everyday challenge for me, and can I just be real and say that I've never stopped wanting to quit? Can we start off by saying that? But I have a very strong network that I'm able to rely on, and they're able to relate to the issues that I've experienced, and they push me, and they won't let me give up. They won't let me quit. They hold me accountable day in and day out. They're very honest and provide real, raw guidance, feedback, and counsel. I also come to the realization that we have the power within ourselves to take the steps necessary to shift any atmosphere. So it's not going to be easy. You'll be put in uncomfortable situations, but we have the power to change things that are around us, and it'll be worth it in the end.
I agree wholeheartedly. And network is very important. Just people that you can rely on. And also for me, setting my own goals and figuring out what is it that I want for me. A lot of people will, even within my network, say, oh, you should do this. That may or may not be for me for what I'm looking for, again, personally or professionally. So making sure that I set my goals and figure out what is winning for me, not what does winning look like for somebody else. What is that I want? And if I can achieve what I want, then I'm good. It's easier to continue towards the goal if I set it than if I let somebody externally sort of define what is good, what I should be doing with my life. So that helps. If it's something that you set forward, then it's easier for you to push towards achieving it than if you let somebody else define that for you.
Amen. That just makes me think of Carla from Top Chef when she was going to make something else and she decided to listen to her team and she made something and she got eliminated. Same thing. Just,
Oh my God.
She did end up on the
got
TV
eliminated?
show. She did. Y'all remember Carla from Top Chef?
Yes, and she got her own show too, didn't she?
Yes, exactly. So I guess it worked out for her. And I guess that's, it's always will work out. I guess that's how you think about it. But I would have much rather gotten, pack my knives and go off of something that was my idea. Not because this dude over here told me that I should make this instead. I'm just saying, I would never let that go. That had to be like 12 years ago, I swear. Deanna, you never watched Top Chef?
No, I do. I love Top Chef.
Oh, okay. So you knew what I was talking about. Okay. Everybody else know what I was talking about too?
I honestly didn't know.
Yeah. I think I stopped watching it after that season, but I did see her on there.
It was so traumatic. Oh, Lord. All right, I'll stop. Kelli, you want to add anything?
Sure. So the way I motivate myself is the desire to succeed. Like, I don't want to fail myself. I don't want to fail my family. So that is what keeps me going and wanting to do better for myself. And I have a lot of nieces and nephews that look up to me. I'm not going to say they don't have a lot of positive role models in their life, but as far as like professional role models, they don't have a lot of that. So that kind of keeps me going and wanting to not quit. Because they have a lot. I mean, not that my family's quitters or whatever, but they don't have a lot of, like I said, professional role models. So them seeing me succeed and travel and going to Japan to work, even though they miss us, I'm sure it's cool to them to tell their friends that, oh, my TT is in Japan. She's working in Japan. Like, they use that as, I guess, motivation too. So.
See that.
That's a good segue for your next question, Kelli. And you're up, Brent.
I'm up. Okay. Next question then. As you said, for Kelli, what are the best resources? Is that where we're at? What are the best resources that have helped you along the way?
Yes, so I have 2 major resources that have helped me, well, maybe 3. But when I was back in DFAS Indianapolis, I was very involved in ASMC, and it allowed me to network and meet people that I normally wouldn't meet being in the department that I was in. So being able to call on people in other areas through my relationship with them in ASMC was very helpful. And also, I was a supervisor in DFAS Indianapolis, and we were required to take certain training classes. And a lot of people were like, this is a waste of time. I don't want to take these training classes. But some of them actually had great information that helped me in my professional journey. For example, there was a crucial conversations training that they had us take. And me, I don't like conflict. So taking that crucial conversation and being able to have ways to make those conversations easier was very helpful to me. And also a mentoring training that I took, how to be a good mentor and how to be a great mentee, has really helped me too. Being able to know how to use that relationship effectively. So those are the resources that I've used that have really helped me along my way in my journey here at DFAS.
Sounds like access, a lot of access to spaces that maybe a lot of people that look like us don't usually get access to.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome, though. I'm glad some of us out here winning, right? Amen. Your win is my win, and I mean that.
Yep, and also like taking advantage of the different programs that like ASMC and AGA offer, the different seminars, workshops, just going to those places, even if you're not really interested in the topic, just going and putting your face and your name out there and meeting new people. Like, I think that helps too.
And that's pretty much a great segue for the next question, and I'll let Michelle take that. But before you do, Michelle, this is really kind of what we've been trying to focus on with the launch of D&I 360. Is it's not lack of talent, education, experience, any of those things. It really is our limited network that kind of prevents people from, like you said, getting your name out there and being in rooms with people you may not necessarily be in rooms with. So that's one of our goals, is to expand everyone's network so that we can rely on each other and each other's networks to get us in those rooms. And I'll hand it over to Michelle.
Sure. Yeah, that is a great segue, because the next question is, how has networking been significant to you and to your career? And how has networking positively impacted your career development and growth?
So, networking has had a huge impact on my career. And I will say that I talk a lot about network, but I'm not one, I can be a little bit introverted, so I'm not one to just go out and introduce myself to people. I'm more of a task-based talker. So if I have a work issue, I can talk to you and I can come and reach out and do that. But I'm not one who just sort of during social hours to go and chat up people. But sort of what Kelli said, making sure I was involved in ASM&C, getting out, meeting different people, calling on those resources, making your thoughts known. So I, again, a lot of things lead back to my kids. They're a big part of my life. So I worked in policy, and I was there for 7 years, had 3 kids there. And after I'd finished and we decided, okay, we're no more kids, I was ready to do something different. And so what I did sort of unconsciously was I was telling people, you know what, I think it's time for me to move on. So I sort of let a couple people know that, not asking for anything, but just in sort of general conversation. And then I had an interview and didn't get the job. But I did get a call back after that interview and said, hey, we know we didn't pick you for that job, but I've asked around. I heard that you were I know that you were looking for something different. You weren't just looking for a promotion. You were looking to do something different, and I have an opportunity. Would you be interested in this? So somebody came to me because I had sort of let it be known that, and again, this was all done very casually, just with people, that I'm very comfortable with. But because I know I've worked in a lot of areas in DFAS in my career, that opportunity came to me. So then that helped me to go to a position outside of policy. And then when I was in, again, a big part of my career is in that one job, I had to brief the director of SPR at that time. And so I had to work with her and sort of got my name out there a little bit through that position by taking on some additional duties. Well, when they send out these emails about DFAS-Japan, right, and they say, hey, we have a position, who wants to go? And I tell everybody, I think I must have been having a really bad day because I sent a message back and said, tell me more, without consulting with my husband about potentially moving to Japan. So I sent out this email, and then they wrote back and they said, well, if you're interested, send us your resume. Well, I had, things got better, I guess, that afternoon, so I never sent anything back. But then I got a call from the deputy director of DFAS-Japan and said, hey, I'd like to talk to you. I heard that you might be interested. Not that you are, but that you might be, and I think you would be a good fit, and let's talk about it. And that was because she had talked to that director who I had briefed. She had talked to her and had heard good things about my work. And so then, again, they proactively reached out to me and said, so I did send the email to show some interest, but then they reached out to me, and that's how I ended up here in Japan, which has been great for my career. I was at DFAS Indianapolis before, so primarily I worked in foreign military sales, so I did some work with all services, but here I'm the director of Navy. I had very small Navy experience before coming here, but they trusted me enough based on my work to do that. And I only got that opportunity because somebody knew somebody who knew me, right? So it's important to sort of reach out. Again, I am not a big networker. I don't collect business cards or anything like that. But just through your working relationships, reach out to people. And I feel like that's, even being here, which we're very isolated, that's one of my biggest strengths is because I have worked so many places. I know somebody who might know the answer or who can get me the answer. So that helps me be successful even in work, is saying, hey, I know somebody who used to do that. Let me send them an email. And again, people are willing to help. You send them and they're like, wait, that's not me. I don't do that. But I think this person does. And then you eventually get to the answer. So not only for your professional career, as far as trying to move up or trying to do different things, but even just getting your regular job done, sort of, especially at DFAS-Japan, even my team, culturally, they don't typically go to the director. They have a very hierarchical sort of thing. But some of my teammates will say, I know that you know somebody. I think that you might know something. Can you help me, please? So I've been talking a long time, so I'm going to stop now.
Oh, it's good stuff. Very important stuff. Does anyone else want to? I know Kelli kind of, definitely segued into that question perfectly. What about you, Lanetz?
I feel like similar to Deatta, I'm not the type of person that is all about going to these networking events, but I've noticed that my involvement in different organizations such as ASMC, CFC, FWP has really helped to establish relationships that have helped me throughout my career, not only just on a personal level, but also professionally. Someone said earlier, I believe it was Michelle, that you never know who's watching you. So when you apply for these positions, the hiring official has authority to call references or to check about your work ethic or personal character, so that you don't know who they're reaching out to. One of my experiences is that I applied for a position, and the hiring official for that particular position called someone that worked on a team next to me. Not that I necessarily worked with them day to day, but we worked together to an extent, and she was able to attest to my character and my work ethic. I would have never thought that she would have had something to say about me, but it just goes back to the point that you never know who's watching you, and that establishing these relationships is so instrumental on a day-to-day basis. That's it.
Thank you. Michelle, you want to ask that question before I ask our signature question? Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. We got one more question to ask as we'll close here, and this is kind of directed to all of you. But wanted to understand, like, what is the best career advice you can provide new and existing Black women that have a desire to excel in their careers within DFAS?
Take
So
advantage
I'll go
of
first. This is
opportunities.
Kelli.
Oh,
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
go ahead, Kelly.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I'll keep it short. I'll keep it short and simple. Like, the best career advice that I can give and that I've received is to get involved and to take advantage of everything that DFAS has to offer. A lot of people are kind of discouraged, especially now that COVID-19 has taken over and a lot of things have changed, but DFAS is still doing a lot. Like, I get on the e-portal all the time and read the articles and see what's going on, and that's how, and keeping myself informed about the stuff that's going on, because nobody really tells us, directly. I mean, in my opinion, as Black females, like, we don't get a lot of the information that the others do. So I just try to keep myself informed about what's going on and ask questions and make sure that you have a good mentor or a good circle that you can rely on, like Lanetz said earlier. So that's it. That's
And that I was going to say something similar to Kelly. It's very important to sort of take it. There are opportunities. You might have to seek them out. What I've seen in my career is that other people were provided that opportunity, whereas I had to seek it out myself. So try to get network, make sure you have a group of people that you can rely on, but also you have to be self-motivated and sort of look to see, because again, I haven't been spoon-fed like some of my counterparts. Things weren't handed to me on a platter. I had to work for those things. I had to, where other people, I did talk about sort of how I got those positions, somebody sort of offered them to me. That I saw that many, many, many times before for counterparts who definitely, I'm going to stop talking now.
Say it. I can edit in post-production.
People were provided opportunities not based on their work. I feel like the opportunities that I got were based on my work and what I have produced, not just because of who I was or who I happen to know. That helped, but if I didn't have the work to back it up, I would not have gotten those things. It was purely on my work, whereas other people I have seen get positions because of who they knew, and their work could not back it up, and it was substantiated once they were given those positions, and it wasn't necessarily successful. So sometimes you have to seek out the opportunities. Make sure you are actively looking, which can be daunting, but keep it up. That's why it's important to have a network of people, so that once I hear something, then I'm going to tell everybody. Don't try to keep things to yourself. I try to share. Sharing is caring. If I know something, all my people are going to know.
Mhm.
Amen.
Oh, and I have something else to add. Sorry. But, and also, like we mentioned earlier, people are always watching you. So just making sure, especially being a Black female, we have that stereotype that we're angry and don't get them mad because they'll go off on you. Just making sure that you're professional and you put off that professional demeanor, because people are watching you and they will use that against you when you're trying to progress in your career.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And if I can just say before I let Lanetz close out, I wholeheartedly agree. And what I would give people, the advice I would say is be yourself, man. Like, because it is way too exhausting to try to keep up a work persona and a who you really are persona. And if you are not being your authentic self, there's no way that you can, really capitalize on your superpowers, because you really won't know what they are. So if you are authentic, and there are different ways to be professional, right? And we have to be okay with that in order to make everyone else okay with that. They have to see different ways of being professional so that they can open up their eyes and see that it's not just this one very specific way of doing so. And now I'll turn it over to the homie, Lanetz.
Okay. Was somebody else about to add something before I start?
I was going to say just one quick little thing. Early in my career, I wore my hair straight, and I had told sort of a mentor, sort of somebody in my network, I was like, I think I'm over it. I don't want to straighten my hair anymore. She was like, don't do that. I just want to let you know I did, and there were no negative ramifications. So I just wanted to share that because I was wholeheartedly told, don't do that. That's not good for your career. I did it anyway because that was my authentic self. I didn't want to straighten my hair anymore. So I stopped, and everything has been fine. So be I agree with Danae, be your authentic self. Whoever that is, do you professionally.
Okay. For me, number one would be to get outside of your comfort zone. It's going to be very uncomfortable because it's not your comfort zone. It's out of the norm of what you're used to doing, but it's in that place that you see so much growth, not only personally but professionally as well. So that's the number one thing that I would stress, is to get outside of your comfort zone and also to get out of your own way. Just going back to the book that I mentioned earlier, we do a lot of things to unconsciously self-sabotage ourselves. We need to get out of our own way so that we can move forward. Another thing that came to mind, and I don't want to repeat everything that Kelli and Deatta said, so I'll just mention everything that's unique, is do it now. A lot of times we wait until we do X, Y, Z, and then we'll do it, but go do it now. If you want to go back to school, get that done. If you want a certification, do that now. The timing will never be perfect. So make a goal. Just to reiterate what Deatta was talking about earlier, as far as having goals, personal goals for herself, and then having a way of achieving that goal regardless of the circumstance that she was in. So make a goal, set a clear, defined milestone on how to get to the end point. And another thing would be just be flexible and open-minded. Take some risks along the way. Take those assignments that others may overlook and may not be interested in. Your name will stand out as someone that's unafraid, willing to take on challenges, and that is highly looked upon. And that's all that I have.
Well, that's a great way to wrap this up. Just one final DNI 360 signature question. I'll start with you, Kelli, and you can just make it as brief as you want to. It's up to you, but I just want to know, how are you doing?
How am I doing?
How are you doing? How are you really doing?
I'm doing good. I'm a little anxious to get back to work. I have been, we started teleworking in March, so I haven't been in the office since March, and I don't go back until September. So I'm just trying to anticipate how it's going to be getting back into a normal routine of getting up and going into the office. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going, and just enjoying motherhood right now and getting to know my little baby girl. So I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking.
Good. Lanetz, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. We've had a lot of transitions recently, and I'm just trying to get, my feet on the ground and make sure those that are coming in are well equipped to be able to succeed in their position, as well as transition myself to my new position and be there for my team. So just trying to grasp everything that's going on right now in the work environment, but all is well.
Thank you. And Deatta, how are you doing? how are you really doing?
I'm enjoying the moment. I'm doing well right now. Again, I'm teleworking for the most part. My kids are home all day, but it's summer, so that's cool. They can go out. That's the other perk of being here. They can go outside and hang out all day, and I'm good. Feeling a little nervous to see what school will look like and what childcare will look like because it's difficult to do both. So a little nervous about that. But again, I'm taking the time to enjoy the moment that where I am right now and enjoying what I have and not trying to actively not get too anxious about what's going to happen because whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But I'm enjoying the moment right now. Doing good.
Michelle?
I'm doing good. Like I told you before, we just came through like a really hyper busy little season there, but it's past and it's moving over. I cannot complain. I'm in a blessed place. I was working from home before, so it wasn't a huge transition for me. My kids are a little bit older, so I don't have little ones, that I have to watch after while I'm trying to work. I'm just in a blessed place. I need a vacation though, but I'm in a blessed place. I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Take the vacation.
Yeah, take a vacation. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Brent, how are you doing?
Well, thanks for asking me. I'm in a good place as well. We just got our, me and the wife, we just got our patio done, so we'll be enjoying that soon.
Nice.
Perfect season for that.
Yes, it is.
How you doing, Danae? How are you?
I am on cloud nine right now, being able to connect with our Japan sisters and just having this discussion and then having Brent here to really listen and hear all this while we're doing it. This is just really exciting for me. And I'm very thankful that everyone was able and willing to participate, even though we went over time. But I think that's a good sign because we were having a great conversation. And I just really appreciate you ladies and your time.
I do too. I haven't met any of you, but if I ever get to Japan, I'm coming to see you if they'll let me. I really enjoyed this. I think one of the things I enjoy about DNI 360 is really the networking and having time to talk to other professional women and hear about their experiences. Because it helps me understand what I'm going through. And I wrote down a lot of what you all said because I'm taking all that to heart. And I appreciate your insight and your input.
Anyone have anything we want to say before we sign off?
No, just thank you for having us. I definitely enjoyed connecting with you guys, so thank you for having us this morning.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. I guess we'll go ahead and sign off. For anyone listening, if you have not received access to DNI 360's website, please send an email to Danae Brown, Michelle Terry, or Brett Lang, and we'll get you signed up. Thank you all.
Bye.
We did it! Ah!
You have to hit the unrecord button now. Unrecord.
I stopped. Ooh.